This is BU Unique. Hello, everyone who is on this YouTube channel. Self love. What about your self love? Is that a reasonable degree? Which one of degrees your reasonable love should be on? That is what we are going to talk about. What does the Bible say about loving yourself? Is that loving yourself necessary? You may open Matthew chapter 10 verse 31. Is that your self-love an important thing you need? Matthew chapter 10 verse 31. 31. So have no fear. You are worth more than many sparrows. You are worth more than many sparrows. It means people are more worth than many sparrows. The Bible indicates that it is proper, even necessary, to love yourself to a reasonable degree. To love yourself to a reasonable degree. Such love includes caring for yourself, respecting yourself, and having a sense of self-worth. Such love includes caring for yourself, respecting yourself, and having a sense of self-worth. Rather than glorifying selfishness, the Bible puts self-love in its right place. The Bible puts self-love in its right place. Which right place your self-love should be? It should be at a reasonable degree. That is we are going to go in deep. Let us see how love lined according to kind of love and its power. Let us see the first love you should have. The first love you should have. You may open Mark chapter 12 verse 28 to 30. Mark chapter 12 verse 29. One of the scribes who had come up and heard them disputing, knowing that he had answered them in a fine way, asked him, which commandment is first of all? Jesus answered, the first is, hear, O Israel, Jehovah our God is one Jehovah, and you must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, and with your whole soul, and with your whole mind, and with your whole strength. That's the first love you should have. Love for God should come first in our hearts. The Bible teaches that the greatest commandment, as we have read, is this one. You must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart. Even before loving yourself, you must love first God. This is a logical thing, because even your self-love has been given to you by God. So you have to first love God with your whole heart. That's the first love you should provide. This is also written in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 5. That is how love is lined. The first is to love God. The second love you should have is this one. You should love yourself. The third one is this one. Mark chapter 12 verse 39. Third one. Chapter 12 Mark and verse 31. The second is this. You must love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than this. At the beginning of Verse 31. The second is this: you must love your neighbor as yourself. It means you must love yourself first, and then second, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You cannot love your neighbor as yourself if you don't love yourself. You get? If you love yourself, you know how to love because you love yourself. And also, after loving yourself, you have to love your neighbor as yourself. So you must love yourself. After loving God, then love your neighbor. That is how love is lined up according to kind of love and its power. The first, love your God. Second, love yourself. The third one, love your neighbor as yourself. This is also right in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Uh, you love your neighbor as yourself because you you let something from your hand to another hand because you have it, right? So we give what we have. I cannot give you a car if I don't have. I give you what I have. So you cannot give love to your neighbor if you don't have. So you have to love yourself. It means if you love yourself, it means you have love. Then let your love from your hand to another hand by giving your neighbor love. But you have to know this. Although the Bible does not include a specific commandment to love yourself, the command to love your neighbor as yourself indicates that a reasonable degree of self-love and self-respect is normal and beneficial. You have to note this. You have to love at reasonable degree. Reasonable degree. This is a normal thing and beneficial. To love at a reasonable degree. At reasonable degree means this. You first love God, second love yourself, the third one, love your neighbor as yourself. If you put if you do this like how it has been lined, your self-love will be at a reasonable degree. Let us take an example of Jesus. Jesus also do this. You may open John in John chapter 14 verse 31. 14 verse 31. But for the world to know that I love the Father, I am doing just as the Father has commanded me to do. Get up, let us go from here. Jesus also loved Jehovah God first, and he devoted him to accomplishing his work. For the world to know that I love the Father, he said, I am doing just as the Father has commanded me to do. So Jesus loved first his Father. And also Jesus loved his neighbor. In Matthew chapter 20 verse 28. Chapter 20 verse 28. Bible says, just as the Son of Man came, not to be just as the Son of the Man came, not to be ministered to, but to minister and to give his life as a ransom in exchange for many. Jesus loved his neighbor, showing this by caring for the needs of others, even to the point of giving his own life. And as it is been written in Mark chapter 6 verse 31 and 32, in Luke chapter 5 verse 28, in John chapter 2 verse 1 and 2, and chapter 12 verse 2, he showed a reasonable love for himself by taking time to rest, eat, and enjoy association with his followers and potential disciples. So he He provided a self-love at a reasonable degree. Why we take Jesus as an example is because of this reason. John chapter 13, verse 34. 34 and 35. I'm giving you a new commandment that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love among yourselves. It's because Jesus showed us how to balance love for God, love for neighbor, and love yourself for self. And he instructed us as our he instructed his disciples to follow his example, and we are here to follow his example because he is our king right now. So, if he instructed us to do this, we have to also balance love for God, love for neighbor, and love for self as he did. But some of the people asked themselves that will loving others ahead of yourself reduce your happiness or self-respect? No. Because in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, we are created in the image of God, whose primary quality is unselfish love. This means that we are designed to show love for others. Self-love has its place, yet we are happiest when we love God above all and focus on doing good things for others. Bible says something which is important in Acts chapter 20 verse 35. Acts 20 verse 35. I have shown you in all things that by working hard in this way you must assist those who are weak, and must keep in mind these words of Lord Jesus when he himself said, there is more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. If you used to give from your hand to your neighbor, you know this, you get more happier than who is receiving your things. You know this. So today, a number of people claim that happiness comes from putting yourself first. For them, love themselves as the best love their neighbor. However, modern experience confirms that improved health and happiness come to those who follow the Bible's wise advice. They each one keep seeking not his own energy, but that of the other person. You know this. Let's make a small review about what we have seen. Self-love means caring yourself, respecting yourself, and having a sense of self-worth. So, that's very necessary. Self-love is a very necessary. But your self-love should be a reasonable degree. This means that your self-love should be in its right place. How? Jesus did it well. How did Jesus did it? He loved first God. Second, he loved himself. And the third one, he loved his neighbors. So, and you should love first you should love first God. Second, love yourself. And the third one, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, because you give all you have. So you should love first you before loving yourself. But above all, love your God. And remember what Bible says in Acts verse 35 in chapter 20. There is more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. So that was about loving yourself. Thank you so much for coming. We are coming in next topics. Keep being you. Learn like yourself. Improve all you have to improve like yourself, because you are unique. Keep being blessed.